Recently, I have been speaking about the book of Ruth a lot, if you follow me, right? And I've been talking about processing and just different things that God has been showing me regarding this season being a season of process and how He's been giving me a different perception of the book of Ruth, right? So, last Sunday, something that God showed me is oftentimes we look at the story of Ruth as a love story, but we miss the process in it. And Ruth really was about how you sit in your process, what your heart posture is in that process. And Ruth's heart posture is really what got her Boaz. It wasn't her looks, it wasn't that she just was seeking a man, she was looking for a man. It was more so about the process of her heart posture when she had nothing, when she had every reason to give up. What a lot of us don't know is Boaz died on the night of their wedding. The night that their wedding was consummated, he died. Now, he died after they consummated their marriage, right? They end up having a son who is the father of Jesse, who is the father of David. Now, if you know the story of David, David is known to be someone who is very close to God. And one of the most important things for us to learn from David is that he was a man after God's own heart. If Ruth had just taken the parts of the testimony of the will upon her life that she wanted and did what she wanted to do with them, we would not have the story of King David. God literally needed her obedience. He needed the pureness of her heart. He needed her faithfulness in order to birth King David. All those years later, I believe she's like his great-great-grandmother. But he knew when he created her what he would birth in her and through her. Now, in these biblical times, having a boy child was something that was huge and very, very, very important. So we see in the beginning of the book of Ruth where Naomi tells Ruth and her sister-in-law that they might as well go because even if she was to somehow, some way have another child, that the child would be too young for them to wait on to marry to try to produce another boy child in their lineage, right? But Boaz was Ruth's previous husband, distant cousin. I was about to say first cousin, but he wasn't his first cousin. He was like his distant cousin. So by them having a child, a boy child, what was supposed to happen happened, right? Now, when you break it down like that, it sounds absolutely absurd. Like, this lady lost her husband. She ended up moving to a place where she don't know. She marries his cousin with hopes of a better life. Not to mention, his cousin is rich. He's a man of God. He got it going on for himself. And then the night that y'all get married, he turned around and passes away. And then you left with a baby. That sounds crazy in the natural, but what God is trying to get us to do is remove the veil of the love story and the fantasy of the love story and help us to pay attention to the things of Ruth that set her apart for her purpose that he set her up for, but not only set her up for purpose, for the things of God. We get so complacent with the ideas that we have and the plans that we have, but instead of screaming, we do not lean on our own understanding. Baby, you are leaning on your own understanding because you're forgetting that God's will isn't perfect. It isn't fantasized. It isn't something that just happens overnight. A lot of us are trying to skip the processing. A lot of us are trying to skip the bad parts, but those are the parts that you need for God to test the pureness of your heart. Those are the parts that you need for God to test your stewardship. How do I know that you're going to be good with $1 million if I can't trust you with 1,000? How do I know that you're going to be good with the good husband if I can't even trust you to know when to walk away from a bad one? How do I know you're going to be a good steward of $1 million corporation when I can't even trust you to go to work every day and you prayed to me for this job? We have to start understanding that the will of God is not just glorification of things that we want or things that we see fit for our life. This will is not our own. We are destined for greatness. And if you know that you're chosen, then you must know that you're chosen for the bad as well. You're not just chosen for the good. So you have to take the good with the bad in order to be able, in order to walk in the will that God has given you correctly. You cannot just pick apart the places that you want to go, the things that you want to do. A part of being in his will is understanding that his understanding is not that of your own, that his ways are not our ways. When I said that God's will is not perfect, that's because it's not measuring up to your idea of perfection. When we begin to come to Christ, we must learn how to walk in truth. And a lot of us are not walking in truth, but we're walking in what we believe that we should have. And God is saying to you today, do not allow you trying to skip the process of what I am trying to build up in you in this hour cause you to miss the breakthrough that I have promised. Because unless you do it according to my will, you will no longer get the benefit of the things that I have promised you within my will. We cannot take the parts that we like to take and push away the things that we don't want to take and think that the will is still going to come forth. Over the weekend, I went to a women's conference titled I Was Created for This. And I feel like it flows so beautifully with what God has revealed to me regarding the story of Ruth and through this revelation that I'm speaking to you all about, because what it all boils down to is we cannot avoid what we're created for. If God has created you for a specific purpose and you're trying to be in his will, you got to take the good with the bad. So in this hour of procession, in this hour of processing, as God is building you up for your next season of life, as he's building you up for what you were created for, you have to stand firm, even when it's good, even when it's bad. Lord, I was created for this. Use me as your will. Use me at your power. Use me at your authority, God. Remove me, lessen me in this hour and strengthen you, Lord, because I'm trying to get somewhere. I need to get to that breakthrough. I need you to use me the way that you have saw fit to use me for my life, Lord, for the generations to come, for my future, God, whatever you see fit, for the things that I may not even still be here living to see come forth, Lord. I need you to control me in this hour and get my mind and my heart and my body aligned to be in your will and be okay with whatever it is that your will is for my life. For I know I was chosen for this. I was created for this. Lord, whatever your process is for me in this hour, I trust it. Your will and not that of my own. I love y'all.